But it's a really exciting innovation. And Sushida-san, can you talk to us a little bit about, what went into the concept and the creation of the double gear system?
I'm not going to translate.
Yeah, just,
そうですね。まず皆さんが期待しているその電波上のメガネのレールのシステムというのは完全にまず再現体験できるようにしよう。その上でそのメガマンのそのオリジナルの伝統的な要素っていうのを一切殺すことなく、さらにその楽しさを加速させるようなシステムは昔のファンにも驚きが必要だし、メガマンにも初めてプレイする新しいファン古いファンも新しいファンも同じスタートラインでゲームを楽しめる要素は絶対必要なんじゃないかという、まずその思いがオリジナルのシステムを邪魔しないニューシステムを考えるというのを私からスタッフたちを問いかけるというかお願いをしてまずスタートしました。
So the initial concept was making sure that obviously we want to keep the original gameplay intact. It's not something that we want to tamper with, and we wanted to create something additional, something that kind of accents the original gameplay without kind of suppressing it down. So that was kind of the initial concept that I pitched to the team. Like let's create something that works as something that surprises the old veteran fans, as well as something that kind of helps out newcomers as well.
それでいくつかのシステムをトライアンドエラーしながら、今のダブルディライシステムにたどり着いたんですけども、その間にどんなものを作ってるので調べた方がいいですね。今回映像の中にあったスピードギア能力があって、その時間の流れを遅くしながらメガマンは少しだけ速くする能力があるんですけど、そのプロトタイプの時は2倍掛け3倍掛けみたいな2倍発動3倍発動のスピードギアがあって、言うと言いなればそのドラゴンボールの開業圏みたいな感じで何重にも追尾することができるんですけど、本当3倍掛けぐらいにすると時間が止まっちゃうので、その能力だったんですけど、あまりにもそのギアが強力すぎるとそれでしかクリアできないステージにボスの攻撃とかそういうものが対比として生まれてきちゃうので、それだとクリアするのが1種類しかないゲームがあってつまらなくなるので、やはりメガマンね、自分で考えて攻略をするクリエイティブなゲームなので、ちょっとやりすぎだなということになって今のバランスが今のシステムになります。
Alright, I think I got it. So there was a lot of different concepts that we came up with, and we ultimately landed on a double gear system. And we did have a lot of fine tuning that we had to do, kind of anecdotally with the speed gear specifically. Originally, the concept behind the speed gear was like, oh, let's have different levels of speed gear. I don't know what the English equivalent is, but it's kind of like a Kaioken in Dragon Ball Z, where you kind of have Kaioken times 2 and Kaioken times 3, and
Kaioken times 4.
The speed gear times 2 and the speed gear times 3, and as you get in higher level speed gears, time would slow more and more until time would just completely stop. And it was one of those things where like, oh, that sounds amazing. Why isn't that in the game? And the reason being was as we play tested the game, we found that it actually inhibited the amount of freedom that the player had. So it was one of those things where because we had these different degrees of speed gear, we actually had to design the level so that it compensated for these different stages of speed gear. And we found out that like, oh, we would end up creating stages that you could only complete it by executing a certain level. And that wasn't something that we wanted to kind of force down the player's throat. We wanted to create a game where the player has the freedom, like the player has these tools, and the player can ultimately choose, like, this is how I want to clear the stage, this is how I want to play Mega Man. So we ended up kind of scrapping that whole concept and we have the double gear system that you see now.
Yeah, whatever, sometimes things that sound good in a brainstorm session don't always work as well in actuality. But the way that the speed gear actually ended up feeling is really great. You can really just slow down time to get a little bit of a feeling for Robot Master's patterns, or stop a block from falling on you. And it feels really nice. And one thing for like the hardcore purists out there, I encourage you to try the speed gear and the power gear. The whole double gear system is awesome, but you can play the entire game without using it. So if you want that extra level of oh boy, Mega Man challenge, it's there for you if you want it, if you're a true masochist. Because once you try it, you'll love it. So that's one of the fun things to work on. So on top of that, we want to talk a little bit about the art style. I have a question. So obviously, besides the double gear system, which is one of the new things about it, I think the most immediately apparent thing is just how different Mega Man 11 looks. The last time we saw a numbered Mega Man game, it was Mega Man 10. It had beautiful pixel art, and that's a key iconic move for the series. But can you just talk from a top level about reinventing the visual style of Mega Man?
今回はやはりですね、本当にゲームの良さを生かしながら、やはり現代のハードの水準に生かしたものを目指したとか、その進化はやはり必要になるだろうと。8ビットの表現っていうものも考えなくはなかったんですけれども、やはりスタッフ全員結論としてはやはり現代の若いゲーマーたちに好きになってもらいたい思いがとても強くて、当然古いファンからは8ビットの方がいいっていう意見も出るだろうという予想はしていたんですけれども、やはり今メガマンを好きでいてくれる人と未来にメガマンを好きになってくれるファンのために全ての若いファンも昔からのベテランのファン、そういう人たちも本当により幅広い年代の人たちにさらにこの先10年もメガマンを好きでいてもらえるようにしたいという意味で、そのビジュアルが現代風でありながらも懐かしい雰囲気をどこか合わせ持ったようなものっていうのを作り出していこうというふうに方向性をまず最初のうちにすぐ決まりました。
So there was a fair amount of brainstorming initially about like what kind of visual look that we wanted to take. And naturally, one of the things that did come up was like, oh, maybe we want to showcase like a classic 8-bit style. And we definitely knew that if we deviated from that, there would definitely be like the hardcore fans that would be like, oh, how dare you move away from 8-bit. But one of the main goals that we had was like, this is a franchise that we want to keep going, and we wanted to make sure that it had a visual style that would cater to a younger audience as well. For us, this is something that we want to keep, not just now, but we want to keep it going 10, 20 years from now. And we figured like, all right, let's go with a look that represents Mega Man with the modern hardware, which is what you see now.
Yeah, and seeing it in motion is one thing, and playing it yourself. And so hopefully you'll have a chance to come down and check it out. I, as a platformer fan myself, I've played a lot of the sort of 2.5D platformers, and they don't all control exactly like I'd want them to, as precisely. And there's been real care by the team to make it so that you really understand where the edge of each platform is, and it feels exactly like it should, despite it being a whole new visual style. So rest assured there. On the topic of art, I think we saw this guy pop up a minute ago, but this is the first Robot Master that we have revealed. This is Blockman. That's the stage that you can play on the show floor and try to get through to the. I've only seen a handful of people get to him. Maybe like 12 or 15 people have gotten to that fight. So I challenge you to come down and try to get to Blockman yourself. But we wanted to talk about, before we got to this look, which is a very classic Robot Master look. Blockman went through some iteration and wanted to sort of share some of these early design sketches with you. And Sushiya-san, if you're able to talk through them a little bit, he went through some really different iterations before he came to be the Blockman we know.
そうですね。まあ、ボストンに関しては属性っていうか、これは岩というかブロックの最初は岩だったかな、岩のボスにしようという方向性が決まっていて、そこからまずアーティストが割とまあなんだろう、そのイメージからだけ、岩のボスっていうイメージからだけ割と自由にデザインをしていて、最初はこういうね、いろんな一番右下のちょっと黄色いピラミッドみたいな、そんなのがモチーフになってますけども、そういうのが岩っていうイメージからかなりいろんなデザインをまず模索をして、プランナーと一緒にゲームデザイナーと一緒に話し合いながらよりイメージを強めていくっていう作業をしてました。これ最初は条件が決まっているデザインというよりは、本当にアーティストが自由に発想しながら描いたスケッチです。
So the original element that we had decided the element first, which turned out to be rock man, which only works in the translation. But basically, he said like, I want this robot master to be based on rock. So that was basically the only thing that he gave to the artist. He said, have fun with this concept. Let's see what you create. So the initial concept was what we see on the bottom right-hand side with the kind of golden look to it. And kind of going from there, just figuring out like, all right, what would kind of logically work? How would this robot master look? And so you see all these different iterations of them.
Awesome.
Yeah, one thing that's cool is in these early iterations, Blockman almost looks sort of like a pyramid, and if you come by the booth, you can see, and if you play the stage, you can see that Blockman's a little bit of a narcissist and has a bit of an ego, and so he can generate his own blocks, and so of course he made a pyramid of himself, so which takes a little bit of an ego, and so it's interesting to see his design reflect that part of his personality. But obviously, when Blockman's back is against the wall and Megaman starts taking the advantage in battle, he transforms. And so can you talk a little bit about that stage in the battle we saw at the end of the trailer?
そうですね。これは巨大化するっていうのは途中から出てきたアイデアで、初めはそのアイデアなかったんですけれども、空中にこうブロックを生み出して攻撃するアイデアが最初に出て、じゃあそれだったらそのブロックを集めてさらに大きな体を作って巨大化すればいいんだというアイデアが途中から出てきたんですね。でそれに合わせてこう出てきたスケッチが次のスケッチになります。だから元々のブロックマンが右にいて、それが変形して顔になっていくっていうアイデアはもうこの時点でだいたいイメージが固まってきています。
So with figuring out like designing the battle for Blockman, the way that he attacks was like, all right, let's have him kind of materialize these blocks from thin air and attack with those. And so the original concept was like, oh, we're not going to have this like giant, huge Blockman. But along the way, it was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to kind of have him create these blocks and then use the blocks to create like a much larger body, and then he can become the head of that new body and attack with that. So we designed the right-hand side is kind of taking that concept of being like, all right, let's have his original form transform into a head, and that head would then be put into this gigantic block statue. So that's kind of where the concept went.
Yeah, it's an awesome moment in that battle, and definitely changes the feel of it. It feels like no other, Robot Master battle that I've ever played in the Mega Man game. So love that part. Here's one more look at Blockman's design and progress. Definitely approaching the final stages there. So coming up next, we've talked about it a little bit. Like, actually, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if anyone else is feeling that, but like, it's talking about the AC. It feels like it's really warm. So are you feeling anything? Like,
I don't feel that hot. I feel cool as ice.
もう一人スペシャルゲストを連れてきて、スクリーンの中にスペシャルゲストをもう一人連れてきたんです。
Cold as ice.
その彼のせいでひょっとしたら熱くなってるのかもしれない。
So we did bring another special guest who will appear on screen, and I think the temperature is rising because of him.
I don't know.
Who wants to see a new Robot Master reveal?
Yeah! Right here, man.
So, despite the rising temperature, please be cool and put your phones away. All right. We want this just to be for the San Diego Comic-Con crowd, so please, get excited for.
And what?
It's
Oh.
Torchman.
Perhaps you would be a challenge. Fall into the fist of flame.
Look at this. Kick it.
So yes, the next Robot Master that we're revealing is Torchman, Fiery Foe, and
Oh, there he
just
is.
to get to know this guy a little bit. Sushia-san, can you tell us a little bit about his design, his personality, his stage a little bit? Who is Torchman?
It's just Flame Man upgraded.
まず最初に当時
Pretty much comedy.
世界で
A
初
bunch
め
of
て皆
others.
さん今ここにいる皆さんが世界で初めて見た
Not much.
世界というか全宇宙で一番最初に当時のを見た
So I just want to point out that you guys are actually the first people in the world to actually see Torchman.
Yes.
Yay!
彼は当時はもともと実はすごい真面目なロボットマスターでキャンプ場に来たみんなに正しい火の使い方を教えるというのを仕事にしていたんですが、ドクター・ワイリー改造されてしまう激しい性格になったんです。
So Torchman's original personality was that he's a very, very serious guy, and when people would come to the campsite, he would teach the proper use of fire. But then things changed, and he became a little bit aggressive.
ただ真面目な一方でもともと趣味が一つ彼にはあって剣オリジナルのマーシャルアーツを自分で練習ひたすら一人で編み出して訓練しているのがあって今回映像でも戦っていましたがパンチキックで戦っていましたがマーシャルアーツで戦うメガマンの中では今までいなかった格闘技で攻撃をしてくるボスです。
So, despite his attitude changing a bit, the one thing that still carried over was his hobby of martial arts, where he came up with his own style of martial art, and he's one of the rare robot masters who, unlike shooting with projectiles, he attacks with fist punches and kicks.
Yeah, one of the things I love about that battle is it almost feels like a fighting game in parts where he's throwing these huge fireballs and then sort of mixing it up by jumping to the other side of the room. Did you take any inspiration from fighting games at all for these boss battles?
実を言うとね、最初はね、結構使ってなかったんですけどね、ある日、紹介デモのポーズが、こういう憲法のポーズがあって、あれって思ったら、よくよく考えるとですね、この当時のアニメーションを担当したアーティストっていうのは、過去でも歴代の格闘ゲームとかのアニメーターをやっていた凄腕の人間だったので、いやいや、やり たいことやってきたなみたいな感じです。
So the original design was he actually didn't use martial art whatsoever. But when I actually first when I saw the first animation for Torchman with his introduction sequence, he had that like tempo stance, and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then I ended up realizing that like, hey, the animator that's actually working on Torchman, he's actually a veteran that's been working on fighting games for quite some time. So I was like, oh. Okay, alright, like, I'll let you do your thing. So that's how the fighting style completely shifted.
That's awesome. I think it worked out. And of course, you know, Fire Robot who's constantly spewing fire, teaching campers the lessons of fire safety is something that would only happen in Mega Man, I feel like, and it's part of why I love the series. So yes, thank you so much for tuning in for this exclusive reveal of Torchman. As a reminder, Mega Man 11 is coming out for PS4, Xbox One, Steam, and Nintendo Switch on October 2nd. Before we wrap things up here, we have a couple other,
Trivia?
fun activities we want to point you towards. We want to, of course, make sure that you know where to turn to for the Capcom booth. So come on down. We have a photo op. You can come and get your picture taken on top of Rush in Rush Jet form next to Mega Man. Blockman was really busy and he couldn't make it this trip, but you can come and pose with the other two and play some Mega Man 11 and Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1 and 2. Come and check out.
He was
challenge
officially
mode,
blocked. To showing his private
if you play
parts.
Mega Man 11, you can also get this awesome 30th anniversary of Mega Man
Woo!
so come and check that out. Another tip, we have a sweepstakes going on right now. If you register at the URL below, you have a chance to win a trip to Tokyo Game Show this year and hang out with Soshia-san and Nonaka-san and play Mega Man 11 before it releases and check out Tokyo Game Show. So,
Yay!
Spread the word. Finally, we have some other awesome Comic-Con panels for you to check out. There's the World of Capcom tomorrow at 11:30. Once you come in for that, camp out here because we have a Resident Evil panel and a Street Fighter panel right after that. So you get a three-for block of Capcom panels. And then finally, a charge panel with our friends at Cartoon Network and Man of Action. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the new cartoon that will be starting on August 5th, you can check that out. Finally, want to spend a little bit more time with these guys? We have autographs at our booth. You can come and get a free Mega Man 11 and Mega Man X Legacy Collection double-sided poster at those timings. So come down at 5:30 to the Capcom booth, get in line, and get your free poster with an autograph, and it's also happening tomorrow. But, really from us to you, we just want to say thank you for being Mega Man fans and sticking with us for 30 years. It's an awesome time to be a fan, so please give it up for these guys and to yourselves. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.